Hi folks, how are y'all doing today? My name is David Gugino, and in today's book review, I am reviewing a lovely book known as The Heart of a Champion by Stephen Ryachak. I can't remember how to pronounce his last name. But this book I really enjoyed. Now I say that pretty much, I need to think of better adjectives for my books, but this one I really liked. And I really liked this one for a couple of reasons, but the primary reason I liked it, I need to start the timer on my phone here. Primary reason that I like this book is because these people have the work ethic and determination unlike anyone I have ever seen. Like, it is so unreal as to how good their work ethic is. And to be honest, it's kind of like my dream to have a work ethic like them, with doing this kind of stuff on top of my job, my powerlifting, my fighting, and stuff like that. But they had some determination. Now, a lot of them didn't have jobs. This was all what they did. But what I really liked about the book is that their stories were just, each one was more different than the other. But what I love about what they all had in common is that they followed Christ. They were all Christians. There might have been two of them that weren't Christians, but they all followed Christ, they all had religion, and they were all just such amazing workers. Like, holy cow, some of the stuff they put themselves through. But we're going to dive into the book, and on the front of it says, True Stories of Character and Faith from Today's Most Inspiring Athletes. And if you think about it, they're not just their work ethic, but their character and the way they view things, in my opinion, is the most inspiring. Because you might think they just make all this money, and they just have this talent that not everyone has. Well, they have the talent, but they also, it's not the talent that made them who they are, it was the work. I mean, I can't remember the old saying, I mean, work ethic beats talent or something like that, but hard work beats talent, but that's true. Because with the gifts they've had, they could have done nothing with them. They could have sat at home and did nothing, or they could have done it in their younger days and then told themselves years later, yep, I had this talent and I was able to do this. Like Simone Biles, in one of her stories, she was on a field trip and it got rained out, so they went to visit a gymnastics gym. And that's how she got into gymnastics. And she goes, in one of her interviews that I watched, she says, honestly, if that never happened, I probably would have never gotten into gymnastics. It just would have never happened. And I thought that was cool. So let's dive into the book here. So in the introduction, it says, what is the word hero? Hero is misused and overused in our culture. Dictionary.com, what happened to thumbing through the 10-pound Merriam-Webster version? Defines a hero as a person noted for courageous acts or nobility of character. A person who, in the opinion of others, has special achievements, abilities, or personal qualities, and is regarded as a role model or ideal. Or the principal main character in a story, play, film, etc. Now, no embodied traits such as commitment. Those who exhibit no embodied traits such as commitment, leadership, perseverance, teamwork, respect, integrity, responsibility, self-control, and compassion, these are all true champions in my book. And that's true. That's what they exhibit. But let me read that again here. Hero is a person noted for courageous acts or nobility of character. A person who, in the opinion of others, has special achievements, abilities, or personal qualities and is regarded as a role model or ideal, or the principal male character in a story, play, film, etc. And I have to agree with that, because a lot of these people are just people's heroes. And if you really think about it, some of these people, they inspire people so much that when other people hear about their stories and hear how they had it worse than they did, or they worked harder than this person, it kind of just gets people out of a hole or something that they've been in their life. And I find that very inspiring. I just do. Now, the other thing I loved about this book is this is talking about Brad Stevens. Brad Stevens was a coach, and was basketball coach for the most venerated franchise in NBA history for the Boston Celtics. Now, Brad Stevens, at age 5, is what it says, he watched tapes of basketball games before going to afternoon kindergarten. Think about that for a second. I don't even know what I was doing at age 5. I'm pretty sure I just went to school, came home, and slept. I mean, I still kind of do that now after I work out, but still, I'm pretty sure that's what I did. But now the next thing that I love what he says is he brings up 2 or 3 coaches in this book, and if you think about it, coaching is huge. Like, without a team, the talent and their work ethic, if they don't have a good coach or good guidance, they will go nowhere. But, because a lot of people want to blame the football coach for losing, and sometimes that's part of it, but even in high school, they just didn't like the coach. Some players didn't. But you got to think, the coach is what's making you do well in these games. The coach is what is making you guys win. He is guiding you on how to win. So that's how I viewed a mean coach. I mean, he might have been mean because he was dealing with high schoolers, but I also agree that you got to have a little pepper on you in your life, because not everyone's going to be nice in life. So what I like about what he says is he's talking about what it's like to be a coach, the challenging thing of being a coach. So listen to this. We look at guys who might arrive, who might have a chip on their shoulder, he said. That's been a big deal for us. It's something that can be contagious, but it has to be recruited. At this level, you have to draft and sign guys who have that attitude. It's hard to create an environment if those guys didn't bring that with them. Along with the attitude, Stevens looks to build his team with players who are smart and do the right things. You look for high IQ players and savvy players because it's a long year. You see a lot of situations you have to change on the fly. You have to tweak on a dime, Stevens said. To me, all the intangible subjective things you can't measure are more important than the things you can. Think about that for a second. To me, all the intangible subjective things you can't measure are more important than the things you can. And kind of like he said about hiring guys with a chip on their shoulder. I think that is hilarious, because it's honestly part of the reason Mike Tyson isn't in here, but part of the reason Mike Tyson trained so hard and did so well in his boxing career was his coach found him, Customato, and he goes, he's in pain and he's got demons, and I want to turn those demons into a weapon. And that weapon would be Mike Tyson. And to be honest, if Mike Tyson was just some regular Joe, he probably not only would have gotten into boxing if he didn't have his background, but he also wouldn't think there'd be a point to it. I don't think there's a point to that now. Being a professional boxer, I mean, I'd love the money, but honestly, to train for it and to be as hardcore about it, I don't think I could do it. But, so this was Brad Stevens. Now, I believe he said something else here, if I can find it. Okay. Now, this is something when he was asked about the press, about his life or before he was coaching, because he left a job at Eli Lilly to pursue coaching. So listen to this. When asked by the press what his life would be like if he had never left that job at Eli Lilly and taken up coaching, Stevens replied, "If everything else remained the same, I would have been as happy as heck. Friends, family, and faith. Friends and family and faith, they're going to take the cake over all this stuff." So even though he left his job to pursue coaching, he goes, I still would have been happy if none of this happened. Because family, friends, and just people he worked with, nothing would have changed. See, that's like what I love, like, I think it was Robert Herjavec from Shark Tank mentioned. He goes, the beauty of being an entrepreneur is you get to create value. And to be honest, in life, that's where happiness comes. How you perceive things and the value you create out of like the situations you're in. So, a really good example of some of the stuff these athletes go through. They're eating all this food, they're training hours and hours every day. Some of them are getting little sleep, and I mean, one of the, she was a track runner, and this is kind of funny. Her name is Lulu Wilson, I believe is her name. Actually, let me check that here, because I'm positive I know her name's Lulu, but is her last name Wilson? Let's see here. Okay, yeah, not it. Ooh, never mind. Lolo Jones is who it was. And she mentioned that the hardest part not the training, not the eating, and not working into a schedule, but for Lolo Jones, who was a track athlete, mentioned the hardest thing was practicing abstinence. Because that's what she did. She wanted to be the best at what she was doing, and that was part of it. She goes, that's probably the hardest thing. I laughed when I read that. I thought that was funny. But she created value being like, hey, well, I'm going to enjoy training and enjoy this and work really hard to perceive it as it's for a purpose. The value was, yep, it's going to lead to, it's a purpose. And sometimes I go on and on with talking, but usually when it comes to creating value of something, I mean, that's what makes you happy. And eventually you'll be happier when you get what you want, but you got to make the best out of every situation you're in. Like when Robert Herjavec on Shark Tank was broke, and his dad was working at a factory and his mom was a receptionist. When he started his stuff, he's like, yep, I did what I could. I had what I had, and that's how I got started. And that's what he did. Now, the next athlete we're going to be talking about here is not a coach, but a receiver for the Green Bay Packers. And his name is Jordy Nelson. He grew up on a farm. Now, I don't know who you are, but farmers, I've met a few farmers in my life, but people who, like some of the world's strongest men back in like the silver era of 1940s or even 70s were farmers. And I'm telling you, farming does something. You can be crazy strong and crazy, like if you're really athletic, it can be a great workout for your sport. Farming, like, farmers know how to work. And farming, that is hard work. But apparently it changes you and gives you not only a good work ethic, but apparently makes you super strong and can make you a tremendous athlete. So, pursuing a career in farming, well, it's not really a career, but pursuing farming, I thought about it. I will admit, it has crossed my mind. But, anyway, Jordy Nelson was a Green Bay Packers Pro Bowl receiver, and he's looking forward to post-NFL career days when he and his family will embark on a different land of work. He actually dreams on living on a farm with him and his family doing farming after the NFL. You don't find many dreams like that. But what I love about what he says is, in life, it's legitimately you reap what you sow, he said. It was a lot of hard work, but once it came to harvest time, we just talked about his farming, and once you were able to sell those crops or sell those cattle, you reap the rewards of what you put in. It taught you patience because there would be some long days. You learned to appreciate what you put into it, that your quality of work mattered. If it wasn't right, you had to redo it. Go do it and do it right because it mattered. Every day was different, which was what I truly enjoyed about farming. Now the experience also developed a unique sense of teamwork in the Nelson family, where the consequences were crucial to the family's future. But think about what he said there. Go do it and do it right because it mattered. Every day was different, which is what I truly enjoyed about farming. So if you really think about it, doing things right is just, no matter what you're doing, and I've said this before in other videos, wherever you're at in life or whatever you're doing for a career, just do it well and do it right. And the reason I bring that up is because if you're not doing anything right or well now, it makes you think you're going to do something right or well, in a different career or a different path of life. And what I really loved about this guy was he had a very good work ethic. He was a family man. He was a man of God, and he broke tons of records. He caught 122 passes, 11 touchdowns, 45 catches, and was holding 11 different receiving records when he left Kansas State. Before he was in the NFL, he was holding all these records. And if you notice that, a lot of these athletes all have held records in their younger years, so they were like born to do this. Now work ethic was involved, but a lot of them were just like, it's just so incredible the stuff they accomplished at such a young age. Because I didn't start pulling my life together until now, and I mean, I'm in better shape. I have the heaviest bench press in Indiana for 165 pounders. Not really, but in the state I do, but in the entire United States, not yet. We're working towards that, but the record I have to beat it, I failed both times. So that's what we've been trying to fix. But we'll get there. But that's all I've accomplished. But when it comes to looking at these people and their accomplishments, look at it as fuel for you to do something. It doesn't have to be this, but just as a way to do something with your life. Because God put you on this earth to live it. And you can live it however you want, but you can't live it staying at home, sleeping all day, just going to work and going home. You live it by doing things. And to be honest, these people just did stuff. They just found out they were good at something, and and they used their talent for something really good in life. And I'm also just very inspired. They all followed Christ. They were all Christians. They were all family men. And they're just, some of the stuff they put themselves through is so inspirational to me. But otherwise, this is The Heart of a Champion. It is a very good book. It's got It's got 36 different athletes you can read about. I'm sorry, I had to count that. I should count that at the beginning. But it's got 36 different athletes you can read about. Each athlete is one inspirational story from the other. It is a great book. There are more lessons to be learned in the book. And I'll probably review this. This is probably one of the books I'll review again in the future. But I hope you all read this book. Thank you all for watching, and you all have a great day.